There are trades that are so lopsided that one team ends up with a legendary player, while the other ends up with a fringe starter or even some scrubs. Here are the 5 worst trade in NBA history. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Nets. This is perhaps one of the greatest robberies in NBA history. While many trades have resulted in a team getting robbed of one superstar, this trade resulted in the Nets being robbed of one superstar and 2 potential stars. Mikhail Prokhorov was a Russian billionaire who was able to acquire a majority stake in the New Jersey Nets in 2010. This was the dawn of a new day for the Nets. The struggling franchise now had a billionaire owner who was not afraid to spend in order to be in championship contention. Unfortunately, the Russian did not have the patience to do things the right way and decided to take shortcuts. The team was already decent with a core of Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, and Brook Lopez. They just needed more firepower and veteran leadership. The team decided to trade for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. At first glance, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett seemed to fit the bill. However, they were already long in the tooth and were well past their prime. If they would ever be healthy enough to finish their career in Brooklyn, the team was going to have a very small window to win a championship. The Brooklyn Nets acquired Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, and DJ White in exchange for Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, Marshawn Brooks, Chris Joseph, and Keith Bogans. If Brooklyn would win a lot and would contend for the championship, the picks would mean very little as they would be in the high 20s and would just be mostly bench warmers. This is not what happened. The supposed new super team did not pan out. Paul Pierce left Brooklyn after 1 season and joined the Washington Wizards. Kevin Garnett was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves after 1.5 seasons as a Net. Jason Terry played only 1 season and was dealt to the Sacramento Kings the very next season. DJ White was just included as a salary cap filler and was just waived. In exchange for this very short window, the Nets mortgaged their entire future. This was especially enraging for Nets fans as Boston was able to parlay the Nets picks into Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. Kyrie Irving is one of the most cold-blooded assassins in the NBA and is never afraid of taking the big shot. Jaylen Brown looks to be a future star. He can defend with his length and is a good 3-point shooter. Jason Tatum idolized Kobe Bryant growing up and shows promise of being the Green Mamba. In fact, Kobe believed in Tatum so much that he wished the Lakers would have drafted him instead and actually worked out with him to improve his skills. Fast forward to the present. New Jersey has not benefited from the trade while the Celtics have the deepest team in the league. When Danny Ainge comes calling, you better hang up. Kobe Bryant to the Lakers. Vlade Divac was the Lakers' pick in 1989. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was about ready to retire, and the Lakers needed a replacement in order to take the Showtime Lakers into the 90s. The Lakers were fortunate enough to be able to draft the Yugoslavian with the 26th pick of the 1989 draft. While Vlade did not set the world on fire in his rookie season, he developed into an efficient double-double machine. He was the starting center of the Lakers and was a decent shot blocker and rebounder. Kobe Bryant showed tremendous potential as a high schooler from Lower Merion. His father, Joe Bryant, was once a player for the 76ers and made a name for himself overseas. The Lakers acquired the pick they used on Bryant from the Hornets for Divac. It took a while for Kobe to adjust to the NBA game, but once he did, he was the closest thing to Michael Jordan since Michael Jordan. Kobe has a similar playing style to Jordan and had the same mannerisms. He was Michael Jordan light. Kobe and Shaq won 3 straight titles, and Kobe won 2 straight on his own. He spent 20 years with the Lakers and had a memorable 60-point outing in his final game against the Utah Jazz. Divac was a good addition to the Hornets, but only stayed 2 seasons. This was an awful trade because the Hornets essentially traded a legend for a 2-year Divac rental. James Harden to the Rockets. James Harden is known today as a perennial MVP candidate. His amazing crossover moves and Eurostep bamboozle his opponents and allow for countless scoring opportunities for the Houston guard. There was a time, however, that Harden was just a 6th man in an up-and-coming Oklahoma team that had 3 future MVPs, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. They were all very young and have not yet hit their prime. The team broke out in 2012 when they vanquished the Mavericks, Lakers, and Spurs in order to have a showdown with the Big Three in Miami. They lost the series 1-4, but the future appeared bright for the Thunder. The Thunder could not keep Harden as they could not come to an agreement. They then traded him, Cole Aldrich, Daquan Cook, and Lazar Hayward for a package that included Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, 2 first-round picks, and a second-round pick. At first glance, the Thunder got a decent haul. Kevin Martin was a prolific scorer who could easily average 20 points a night. Jeremy Lamb was a highly touted prospect. The 3 picks could end up very valuable as the Thunder have a good draft history. It seemed to be a mutually beneficial trade at the time. The trade started to look bad when Harden became the main man in Houston and was free to show his full potential. He immediately averaged 25 points and became a star. The 3 picks Oklahoma got ended up being Steven Adams, Mitch McGary, and Alex Abrines. Steven Adams was a very good pick and is a valuable starter to this very day. Mitch McGary just played with the team for 2 seasons and was out of the league. Alex Abrines is nothing special and is just a bench player in the league. In the end, the Thunder traded an MVP for Steven Adams and spare parts. If the Thunder had kept their core of Durant, Westbrook, Harden, and Ibaka, they might have been multiple-time champions by now. As it stands, the Oklahoma City Thunder have 0 championships to show for in its current incarnation as the Thunder. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to the Lakers. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a star at UCLA, so it would be no surprise that he would later try to get to play for his hometown team, the Los Angeles Lakers. With Kareem, Milwaukee was able to win a championship. They were, however, forced into a trade, or they would end up with nothing. Milwaukee dealt Kareem along with Walt Wesley to the Lakers for a package of Elmore Smith, Brian Winters, Dave Myers, and Junior Bridgman. While the 4 players Milwaukee acquired were not scrubs, Milwaukee lost out big time as Kareem and Magic propelled the Lakers' Showtime teams to 5 titles. Milwaukee never got another championship once Kareem left town. Junior Bridgman and Brian Winters had their jerseys retired by the Bucks and were integral for perennial playoff contention. Elmore Smith was dealt to the Cavaliers and did not even last 2 seasons with the team. Dave Myers was a good player but only lasted 4 seasons as he retired to spend more time with his family and his church. Kareem was the most dominant center of his time and devastated the league with his patented skyhooks. Nobody could stop the shots, and only a handful of individuals ever blocked it. He, along with Magic Johnson, led stacked teams that fielded the likes of James Worthy, Michael Cooper, Jamal Wilkes, and Michael Thompson into perennial championship contention where they won 5 titles, including a rare back-to-back championship. Scottie Pippen to the Bulls. Sometimes you already made the right choice and do not need to trade the choice anymore. Seattle already drafted a future Hall of Famer in Scottie Pippen but let him go in exchange for a role player in Olden Polinis. In this convoluted trade, the Bulls ended up with Scottie Pippen and the draft rights to the 1989 Sonics pick in exchange for Olden Polinis, the Bulls' 2nd-round pick, and the Bulls' 1989 first-round pick. The 1989 Sonics pick ended up being Jeff Sanders, who lasted 4 seasons in the league. The Bulls' 2nd-rounder ended up being Sylvester Gray, who spent 1 season with the Miami Heat. The Bulls' 1st-rounder in 1989 ended up being B.J. Armstrong. Seattle traded the pick that became Armstrong for Brad Sellers. Sellers did not stay long in the team as he was shipped to Minnesota for Steve Johnson. Here is the aftermath of the trade. Scottie Pippen played 12 seasons for the Chicago Bulls and won 6 championships with Michael Jordan. He was part of 2 three-peat teams. Jeff Sanders spent an injury-filled season in Chicago before being shipped to the Miami Heat for a 2nd-rounder. Since Sanders was waived, the pick was never conveyed. Sylvester Gray never played for the Sonics as the pick got moved around before it ended up with the Miami Heat. Sylvester only played 1 NBA season and played overseas. The pick that became B.J. Armstrong was traded back to Chicago for Brad Sellers. Armstrong was an integral part of the first Chicago three-peat. After the dust settled, Chicago ended up far ahead with Pippen and Armstrong. Seattle ended up with short-term rentals for Polinis and Sellers, and the trade never made any positive impact towards Seattle competing. Are you agree on our picks? Comment down below to know your picks.